What's up, everyone? Mr. NoobTube Gamer. Today we're playing Battlefield Bad Company 1 in the year 2021. This game came out way back in 2008, 13 years ago. I actually never got to play the game during its prime because I wasn't really a Battlefield fan back then. I wasn't even allowed to play FPS games back then. In 2008, I was almost 10 years old, so yeah, my parents did not let me play M-rated games. My first M-rated game was actually Modern Warfare 2 in 2009, so it was a little bit before my time. I actually didn't start playing this game until about a year ago when I bought it because I was curious. I wanted to finish my Battlefield collection. I never had Bad Company 1 before. My first Battlefield was actually Bad Company 2, and I love that game to death, so I was curious to see what the first Bad Company game was like. Usually I play Battlefield on PC because it's obviously the best way to play Battlefield, but this time we have to use the old Xbox because this game was never released on PC ever. Bad Company 1 was a console exclusive, only released on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. I'm playing the 360 version on my Xbox One through backwards compatibility. You could also play it on your Series X because every backwards compatible game that we've had on the Xbox One carries over to the Series X and the Series S. So if you have any of those new consoles, you'll be able to play it as well. But if you're a PlayStation gamer, you're going to have to dust up that old PS3 because it's not playable on the PS4 or PS5. So I think that's the reason why Bad Company 1, it feels like it's so forgotten in Battlefield history, because a lot of people never got to experience it, including myself. I didn't get to play it back then because I wasn't really into FPS games back then. I wasn't allowed to play FPS games. But even like, the core Battlefield fans, a lot of them are PC gamers. So the fact that the game was never released on PC means a lot of the Battlefield fans never even got to play this game once. So we're going to talk about the overall state of the game in 2021, and you saw this gameplay. It was a 2-minute match. A 2-minute match of Conquest. That was a full, unedited gameplay. 2 minutes of Conquest, and the game was over. And it's not even like the lobby was completely empty. I believe it was 5v5 or maybe 4v4. Still enough players where it shouldn't be a total blowout in 2 minutes where you're able to cap all the flags without any issues. I mean, that was crazy. So I had to share that gameplay. Because, I mean, when you think of Conquest and Battlefield, you think you're going to be there for at least a half hour, 45 minutes. Nah, I just breezed by it in 2 minutes. The shortest game of Conquest I've ever played in any Battlefield game ever. So, yeah, I would recommend that if you want to play Bad Company 1, stay away from Conquest because it's kind of weird and it's just, it goes by so fast and it's kind of not fair because, yeah, I would not recommend doing it. But most people that play Bad Company 1 in 2021, they don't play Conquest because in order to be able to play Conquest, you actually have to go to the Xbox store and find the Conquest DLC. Even though it's free, it's still DLC that you have to go out and look for. So most people don't even know that Conquest is a thing in Bad Company 1. So a lot of people don't even play it. But Rush is the heart of this game. It was the first Battlefield game to have Rush mode. It was actually the first Battlefield game to have destructible environments because it was the first Battlefield to use the Frostbite engine. So this game is running on Frostbite 1.0, and DICE was able to use the new technology they had from the Frostbite engine to create these destructible environments that is now the staple of the Battlefield series. That's like the big thing that sets Battlefield apart from any other FPS is that you can blow shit up, no problem. If someone's camping in a building, you can blow that building to shit, and the camper has nowhere to hide anymore. That's a huge part of the Battlefield experience, and it all started with Bad Company 1. I will say, as someone who's used to playing Battlefield on PC, and I'm playing everything in ultra settings, 144 FPS, with the precision of a keyboard and mouse, going from that to this is a very jarring experience because this shit's running at 30 frames per second. The sprinting is also really weird. I'm using a controller, so my movements aren't very accurate, and it just feels like it feels really clunky. I mean, the game did come out in 2008, but I mean, it's just like it's a really jarring experience if you went from, let's say, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, or any other later Battlefield games on PC, max settings, and then going from that to Bad Company 1. It takes a little bit of getting used to, especially the movement system. It's really, really clunky, even compared to Bad Company 2. Like, you can see in the gameplay, the weapon doesn't sprint with you. You're just sprinting, and then the weapon comes out. It's really weird. In the ADS, a lot of the weapons don't even have an ADS, and the aiming is not very precise, and it feels like half the time you're just spraying bullets, hoping that you're going to hit something. It's definitely far from the smoothest Battlefield experience that you can have. So that's something you need to keep in mind. If you never played this game before, or if you haven't played it in a really long time, just be mindful of that this game is running at 30 FPS. It's not the smoothest experience. The movement is clunky. The gunplay is a little clunky. But it did come out in 2008. I think for its time, for a 2008 FPS, I think it's good. But you just need to keep that in mind that, yeah, time hasn't been very kind to this game. I still think it's a fun game, though. I have a lot of fun in this game, even after all this time. Like I said, I didn't play the game back in its prime, so I can't even be biased and, talk about nostalgia or whatever, because I have no nostalgia with this game at all. Now, Bad Company 2, that's a completely different story. I have so much nostalgia for that game. My very first Battlefield, one of my favorite FPS games of all time. We'll talk about Bad Company 2 in another video. But Bad Company 1, I have no attachment to this game at all. But I still have a lot of fun with it. I still think, even though it's an old game, and maybe it hasn't aged that well, it still is a good Battlefield experience at its core. You have large maps, you have tanks, you have helicopters, you have that large-scale warfare that we know and love in Battlefield, and Bad Company 1 probably has the most destructible environments that we've ever seen in a Battlefield game. You can just blow the fuck out of anything. Like, how in the new Battlefield games, it's kind of like, you can blow up certain things, but there are other buildings that you can't even touch because DICE decides that, you can have destructible environments, but it can't be too destructible. No, in Battlefield Bad Company 1, doesn't matter. You can fucking blow up anything. It does not fucking matter. And in Rush mode especially, everything's exploding, everything's blowing up, because people are trying to blow up the gold crates, as they're called, in Gold Rush mode. It's all about destroying the gold. I don't even know what that whole thing is about. There's some obsession with gold in Bad Company 1. That's like the whole gimmick of the game. It's kind of like New Super Mario Bros. 2, where you're collecting all the gold. In the campaign mode, they're talking about gold. The Bad Company, they're trying to strike out on their own and get gold. And the multiplayer, there's gold. So gold, 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 gold. That's Bad Company 1. But if you are a huge fan of Rush, Bad Company does it the best. Bad Company 1 and Bad Company 2, that's where Rush mode comes from. And I think, Battlefield 3 definitely is a really good Rush Battlefield. But if you really love Rush, you gotta go with where it all started. Bad Company 1 is really fun to play Rush, even after all these years. And there's still full lobbies. This is almost a full lobby in this gameplay. So there's still a very healthy player base in 2021. You'd think a game that is as ancient as it is, the game would be on life support, practically dead. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Bad Company 1 still has a very active player base. A very toxic player base, but a very active player base. And the reason why I say toxic is because there are a handful of times when I'm playing a match and some fucking jerk-off is team killing. Because friendly fire is a thing in this game, so you can kill your teammate whenever you feel like it. So that's really annoying. You have plenty of griefers, plenty of scumbags in the Bad Company 1 community, but overall, I think it's worth it if you want to complete your Battlefield collection, if you're curious about Bad Company 1, you never played it before, I think it's worth picking up. The single-player campaign alone is one of the best Battlefield campaigns. Probably the best Battlefield campaign that we've ever had. Bad Company 1 and Bad Company 2 just have amazing writing and a good story that actually makes you feel invested in the characters, unlike Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. I played those campaigns. I can't even remember anything that happened in those single players. It was just so forgettable. The only thing I remember in Battlefield 3 was the set piece where you blow up the building with a rocket launcher in the first mission or something. And then Battlefield 4, I think, the helicopter goes into the ocean. There's just, it's just set piece. But there's no reason to actually care. At least, Call of Duty, it's kind of like that, where it's like a Michael Bay movie. But at least you actually feel attachment to the characters. The newer Battlefield games just have really bad storytelling, really bad writing. Bad Company 1 and Bad Company 2, though, have some of the best writing in any single-player FPS campaign. They're really good. So I would recommend that you check out the game, if nothing else, for the single player, but the multiplayer is actually still very much alive. And in my opinion, it's still fun, even though it's a little clunky, even though it's not, time hasn't been kind to this game. I think there's still a lot of fun to be had with Bad Company 1. The maps are pretty well designed, there's plenty of weapon variety, the vehicles are fun, everything is good with this game. Not much to complain about. I think it was well worth the $15 I spent on the Xbox store to pick this game up. So yeah, $15 I think is actually a good price for what the game offers. The multiplayer is far from dead. The single player is fun. It's definitely worth the money. And I think if you have Game Pass Ultimate, it's free. It's included with EA Play. So there's really no reason not to play this game in 2021. Unless you're on PC, then you're shit out of luck, unfortunately. You cannot play this game on PC. But if you do have a console lying around that can play this game and you have $15 to spare, I'd say definitely give this game a try, even if you never played it before. It's still a really solid Battlefield experience. But anyway, that pretty much wraps up today's video. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any memories playing Bad Company 1 back in the day, and if you still play it to this day. And if you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing to the channel. I'm so close to 1,000 subs, so I'd really appreciate it if you guys can help me get there. But as always, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.